Hello and welcome. In this session, I will be talking about a very important concept of the subject data structure and algorithms. Here I will give a brief introduction about the complexity of algorithms first, in which we will see what is time complexity and what is space complexity of the algorithm. Later on, we will discuss about the three different cases of complexities, that is worst case, best case and average case. These we will be discussing with the help of one example, that's the binary search algorithm. And lastly, we will see what is the asymptotic analysis of algorithm. This is the most important topic that I am going to cover in this video session, in which we will see three types of asymptotic notations, that is big O notation, omega notation and theta notation. Alright, so how these three asymptotic notations will be implemented, that we are going to see with the help of some numericals. Alright, now as we know that in computer science, to solve any particular problem, we write the computer programs. All right. So before writing the actual computer programs, we give a step-by-step description of the solution in terms of the algorithms. All right. So since there can have more than one solution for a particular problem, we do have more than one algorithms as well. Now, which algorithm should be chosen for the actual implementation depends upon the some factors, and those factors are nothing but the complexity of algorithm. All right. Now, for choosing any particular algorithm for the actual development or implementation, we have to analyze that particular algorithm in terms of the time and space. So that is called as complexity of the algorithm. All right, the actual time taken by the algorithm to produce the desired output is called as time complexity of the algorithm. One thing should be noted here, that this time complexity does not give us the actual watch time, but it can be represented with the help of a function of time. Let us say a function f of n. All right, so it is just a function and not the exact watch time. All right. Secondly, the space or the memory utilized by the algorithm throughout its lifetime is called as a space complexity of the algorithm. All right. Obviously, both of these complexities should be at the lower side. All right. Then only we can say that my algorithm is efficient. The algorithm that we are going to design should consume less time as well as less memory. Then only we can say it is a efficient algorithm. All right. Although these two complexities of the algorithm depends upon variety of factors, like the number of inputs you are supplying for your algorithm, the processor that you are going to use, the hardwares we are going to use, the operating system we are going to use, the complexity of the underlying data structure, and so on. There are a lot of factors on which this complexity of the algorithm depends. All right, that is why we do not get any exact watch time of the algorithm, how much exact time it is going to take. That is why we represent this time complexity in terms of a function of time, that is f of n. All right, we are going to see this later on. Right, so this was all about the complexity of the algorithm. Next comes the different cases of the complexities. We have three different cases in which the time complexity we can represent. Number one is worst case, number two is best case, and number three is average case. Worst case is also called as upper bound, best case is called as lower bound, and average case is called as tight bound. That will be average case means in between worst case and best case. All right. So this can be explained more precisely with the help of one example, and that example is of linear search. All right. So let us see how linear search works. Suppose I have stored 10 elements in my array. All right, starting from array index starting from 0 and ending on 9. So this is my first element and this is my last element. All right, now let us see. Suppose I am searching for a particular element, and that element is, let us say, 12. All right. So I want to search this 12 in these 10 memory locations. Alright, so what method I should follow? Definitely this is linear search, so I will have to search this particular item linearly. One by one I have to compare this element with all these elements. Alright, so first comparison is here. Is this 12 is equal to this 12? Yes, it is equal to this 12, right? So in the first position itself I got my element, right? So this is called as a best case. The element is found at the first place itself. So this transaction requires only one comparison, right? In the first comparison itself I got my element, so that is the best case. But you should keep in mind that this best case is rarely happens, right? If we are fortunate enough, then only we can find our element at the first position itself. All right, so this depends upon luck. So normally we do not consider this best case while analyzing our algorithm. All right, next is worst case. Let us say I want to search for a particular element, let us say 100. All right, in this array. So first this 100 will be compared with the element present at the 0th location. It is not equal, so we move on to the next location. All right, now this 100 is compared with 3, still it is not matching, so again we will move to the next location, again we will move to the next location, and so on till the last element. All right, so after comparing all these 10 elements, still this element is not found in this array. All right, so the element is not at all present in my array. So that is called as a worst case. The element, either it is present at the last location or it is not present at all. So for this I need to compare all the n number of elements. All right, here the value of n is 10, since I am storing 10 elements here. So n is equals to 10. So for finding out this element I need n comparisons, right, in the worst case. All right, so this is called as worst case analysis. The element found at the last place or it is not present at all. That is worst case. And third one is average case. Let us say I want to search for a particular element, let us say 19. So it is not going to be searched in one comparison, as well as it will not be requiring n comparisons, right? It is somewhere in between this 0th location and 9th location. All right, so if it is falling somewhere in between, then it will take the average time for finding out that particular element. All right, so that is called as average case. Okay, so this best case is rarely used while analysis of algorithm, as well as this average time is also rarely used. What we are interested is to finding out the complexity of the algorithm in worst case. In many of the scenarios we are interested to find out the time complexity in the worst case. All right, so this is these are the 3 different cases of our complexities. Now next is asymptotic notations. In order to understand the asymptotic notation, we first understand what is the asymptotic analysis. All right, now the asymptotic analysis in computer science refers to the computing the running time of any operation in mathematical units of computation. It mainly defines the mathematical foundation or some sort of framing of its runtime performance. Okay, we can say it is just an estimating technique, and it does not tell us anything about the relative merits of the 2 algorithms, where one algorithm can be slightly better than the other algorithm. Now, in order to have this asymptotic analysis, we make use of these asymptotic notations. So three asymptotic notations we can use for this asymptotic analysis purpose. Number one is BIGO notation. It is also called as upper bound, or it represents the worst case time complexity of our algorithm. All right. Number two is omega notation. It is also called as lower bound, and it is used to represent the best case analysis of our algorithm. And third one is theta notation. It is also called as a tight bound. It can be in between these upper bound and lower bound. That is why it is called as tight bound. All right. And it gives the average case time complexity of our algorithm. So these three notations we are going to study in this lecture. The first notation is BIGO notation, and it is, as I said earlier, it is used to represent the upper bound of our algorithm. All right. So the definition is O of G of n is equals to f of n. There exists a positive constant c and n naught such that 0 is less than equal to f of n, where f of n is less than equal to c into g of n. All right. So we will be having these two functions over here, and this f of n is the time complexity of our algorithm. All right. So for binding any upper limit for our algorithm's time complexity, we use this c into g of n. Okay. So this c into g of n will be the upper bound for our algorithm's time complexity. So this can be shown with the help of this one graph. Let us plot one graph which shows the relationship between this f of n and cg of n. Let us say I have this curve like this. I will call this as f of n, and for binding purpose I will have one more curve like this. So this I will call as c into g of n. All right. This is my n, that is number of inputs, and this is time. All right. Now, as the number of inputs are increasing in my algorithm, the time is also increasing. All right. So the time is always dependent on number of inputs I am giving to my algorithm. All right. Now this is f of n. This line indicates f of n, that is the actual running time of my algorithm, and this line is called as an upper bound. Now see the definition. What they are telling, there exists a positive constant c, this c, and n0. N0 is the intersection point of these two curves. All right. This is n0. So there exists a positive constant c and n0 such that this condition holds. So 0, we can say this is 0. 0 is less than equal to f of n, and f of n is always smaller than c into g of n. That means we have included one upper bound for this running time of our algorithm. All right. So even if we are increasing the number of inputs, still our actual running time of our algorithm will always be lesser than this upper bound. All right. So we have bound here. We have bound our algorithm's running time with the upper bound. All right. So whatever number of inputs I am increasing, my running time will always be smaller than this upper bound. So that is called as a worst case analysis. All right. This will never go. This curve will never cross this curve. Like this, it will never happen. All right, because this is upper bound. my algorithm's running time will never be crossing this upper limit. All right, so that is worst case analysis of algorithm. Now this can be more clear with the help of one example. We have to prove that this f of n is always less than or equal to c into g of n. Okay, now one thing I forgot to mention here, that at some initial level, maybe for some range of inputs, this f of n, that is running time of my algorithm, will be greater than this upper bound. Okay, but after particular limit, after particular set of the input values, these condition will always hold. Okay, so you can observe here that at some input range, that is 0 to n naught, this running time is greater than this upper bound. So it may happen for some period of time. All right, but after this intersection point, it will never cross. Okay, so now we have to prove that this condition holds. Okay, so for that, let us say our f of n is given as 2n plus 5. Okay, now this is the actual time complexity of my algorithm. Now I have to give this time complexity an upper bound. Okay, so I have to mention this in terms of let us say O of something, right? In many of the cases, we do come across the time complexity as O of n square, or O of log n, or O of root n, and so on. So what should be the value here that we need to find out? Okay, so that means we have to bound this 2n plus 5, that is actual time complexity of my algorithm, with some the upper bound. Okay, so 2n plus 5 is the f of n, and g of n, for finding out the g of n, we need to consider the highest degree of n in this in this equation. Okay, so we have only one n here and its degree is 1. All right, so we are going to consider the highest degree term of n, that is n itself. Okay, so this can be thought of as g of n. So g of n will be n here. If we had n square here, then we would have write n square here. Okay, if we had log n here, we could have written log n over here. Okay, so this is the highest degree of n that we need to consider as g of n. So g of n is equal to n here. Okay, now one tip I want to give here. You have to write this equation as it is, and as this equation we have to bound with 3 different cases, that is the worst case, best case, and average case. So here I can write the lower bound, the middle bound, and the upper bound. Okay, so just consider this degree of the coefficient of n here. The coefficient of n is 2 here, so lower bound will be 2, middle bound will be same as 2, and upper bound will be 1 plus this coefficient, so that means 3. All right, so lower bound is 2, middle bound is 2, and upper bound will be 3. These are the values of positive constant c. All right, so g of n equal to n, c is equals to, as we are finding out the big O notation, all right, that means worst case, that is upper bound. So we need to consider c is equals to 3 here. Okay, now we want to find out the value of this n. So for value of n means the input. Alright, so our function is what? F of n is less than equal to c into g of n. This we need to prove. Alright, this is the function. So f of n is what here? 2n plus 5 should be less than or equal to c. C means 3, and g of n is what? N. So 3n. So this we have to prove. Alright. So for that we need to consider different values of n. Let us say first of all I am considering n as 1. So putting n as 1 here, so it will be 2 into 1 plus 5. So 2 plus 5, that will be 7, and less than equal to 3, and n is 1, that is 3. So is this condition satisfied? 7 less than equal to 3? No, this is false. Alright, so I will have to choose a different value for n. Let us say I am considering now 2. So f of n is that is 2n plus 5. So 2 into 2, that is 4 plus 5, that is 9, less than equal to 3 into 2, that is 6. So this is also false. Alright, now n equal to 3. So 3 into 2, 6 plus 5, that is 11, less than equal to 3 into 3, that is 9. This is also false. Now let us consider n equal to 4. So 6 plus 5, 8 plus 5, that is 13, less than equal to 3 into 4, that is 12. This is also false. Now consider n equal to 5. So 10 plus 5, that is 15, less than equal to 5 into 3, that is 15. So this condition is now true. 15 is less than or equal to 15, right? So we can say that my f of n is equal to c into g of n for all c greater than equal to 3 and n greater than equal to 5. Alright, this condition holds for all c greater than equal to 3 and n greater than equal to 5. Alright, so if this is the case, then I can write here that 2n plus 5 is equal to O of g of n is what? N. So I can write here O of n. So if my algorithm's time complexity is find out as 2n plus 5, I can write this in the worst case as O of n. So this is nothing but the big O notation. Second asymptotic notation is omega notation. It is also used to represent the lower bound or the best case scenario of the time complexity. Definition is omega of g of n is equals to f of n. There exists a positive constant c and n0 such that 0 is less than equal to c into g of n and c into g of n is less than or equal to f of n. Alright, so now this f of n is, we have already seen that this is our algorithm's time complexity. And now here in case of omega notation, we have to bind this function with a lower bound. So for this I have plotted one curve here and I am calling this as f of n. So this is the running time of my algorithm. Now this curve I have to bind with a lower bound. So let me draw the second curve, which will be the lower bound for this particular function. I'll call this as lower bound and this will be my c into g of n. Now this intersection point is called as n0 and this is our size of input. Now as you can observe here that after some input size n0, this f of n curve will always be greater than or equal to this c into g of n. So now here we have plotted this c into g of n. Meaning is that at any input which is greater than n0, this f of n will always be on or above this c into g of n. The time complexity will not fall down this c into g of n. So that means this is the baseline which we have drawn for this particular time complexity of our algorithm. Now let us prove this condition, that is 0 is less than equal to c into g of n and c into g of n is less than equal to f of n. Now here we are again considering f of n as 2n plus 5. Now our condition is what? F of n should always be greater than c into g of n. This you can write like this also, c into g of n is less than equal to f of n, or you can also write like this, f of n is greater than or equal to c into g of n. It is one and the same thing. Now we have to prove this for all the values of c and n. Now in the previous example of BIGO, we have seen that we have to have three different cases. One is lower bound, middle bound and upper bound. So we have to consider this coefficient of n, that is 2 will be the lower bound, 2 will be the middle bound and 3 will be the upper bound. Now here omega notation deals with the lower bound. Alright, so now the value of c we have to consider as 2. So the equation will become 2n plus 5 is greater than equal to 2 and g of n is always n, right, as we have already discussed. So 2n plus 5 is greater than equal to 2n. This condition we have to prove for all the values of n. Now starting with n equal to 1. Why I am taking n equal to 1 always? Because there should be at least one input supplied to our algorithm. Alright, at least one input we should provide in order to have the output, right? So n is equals to 1. So putting n equal to 1 in this equation, so it will become 2 plus 5, that is 7, greater than equal to 2 into 1, that is 2. So at the first instant itself, this becomes true. So we can say here that this condition holds, this condition is satisfied for all c greater than equal to 2 and n greater than equal to 1. For all such inputs, this condition holds. For all the inputs which are not greater than equal to 1, this will not satisfy. As you can observe here that for some initial inputs, this f of n is even lower than this c into g of n, right? This is our f of n and it is smaller than c into g of n for some initial input n naught. After n naught, this condition will always satisfy, that is all c is greater than equal to 2 and n greater than equal to 1. So that is binding the f of n function with the lower bound with the help of omega notation. The last asymptotic notation is called as theta notation. It is used to express the average case time complexity of the algorithm, also called as tight bound. So tight bound means we have to plot two different curves, the upper bound and the lower bound. So let us plot the curve. Here I need to plot three different curves. Number one is our f of n. This is the actual running time of our algorithm. Second curve is c1 g of n and third curve is c2 g of n, and this is the intersection point, so this will be n naught. So this is our actual running time of our algorithm, and we have bound this function in between two different functions, c2 into g of n and c1 into g of n. So this graph is designed as per the definition. c1 into g of n, that is c1 into g of n, is less than f of n. c1 g of n is less than f of n, and f of n is less than c2 g of n. F of n is less than c2 g of n. So for this particular condition, we have drawn this particular graph. Now we have to find out here two different values of c1 and c2. Now how to find it out? So this is our function 2n plus 5. So lower bound is what we are considering as 2, middle bound we are considering as 2, and upper bound we are considering as 3. So this value can be taken as c1 and this value can be taken as c2, because this middle bound is in between these two values, c1 and c2. So c1 here we are taking as 2 and c2 we are taking as 3. So now let us see whether this condition holds for any set of input. So we have to prove that c1 into g of n is less than equal to f of n less than equal to c2 g of n. Now c1 is what we are considering as 2, and g of n is what, our n itself, right? So 2n less than equal to f of n is what, 2n plus 5 less than equal to c2. c2 is what, 3. So 3, and g of n is again n, right? So 2n less than equal to 2n plus 5 less than equal to 3n. This we have to prove. So we have to find out the values of n for which this condition is satisfied, right? So again we will start from n equals to 1, right? So if n equal to 1, so this will become 2 less than equal to 2 plus 5, that is 7, less than equal to 3, right? So this is false. Now consider n equal to 2. So 4 less than equal to 4 plus 5, that is 9, less than equal to 3 into 2, that is 6. So again this is false. Now consider n equal to 3. So it will be 6 less than equal to 11 less than equal to 9. So that is also false, right? Now consider n equal to 4. So it will become 8 less than equal to 13 less than equal to 12. This is also false, right? Now consider n equal to 5. So it will become 10 less than equal to 15 less than equal to 15. So 10 is less than equal to 15, yes, and 15 is less than equal to 15, right? So this is true, right? So we can write the final solution as f of n, my f of n is equal to theta of g of n, that is 2n plus 5, can also be written as theta of n for all n greater than equal to what, 5, because for n equal to 5 this condition becomes true. So n greater than equal to 5 and c1 equal to what, we have considered as 2, and c2 we have considered as, actually this should be greater than equal to, c1 greater than equal to 2 and c2 greater than equal to 3. So for all these inputs, this condition holds, this condition satisfied, that means this condition. So this is all about theta notation. So I hope you have understood the concepts. In this lecture, let me summarize. We have discussed about the complexity of algorithm, that is time complexity and space complexity. 3 different cases we have discussed, that is worst case, best case, average case, with the help of one example, that is linear search algorithm. And then we have discussed about the asymptotic analysis of the algorithm, in which we have discussed about these 3 asymptotic notations, big O, omega and theta. So that's all about this asymptotic analysis of algorithm. Thanks for watching.